Prices. Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Karen Tomkins. Today's top stories. A Dublin airport passenger who is suspected of having the coronavirus has tested negative. Waterford Animal Welfare say the horse involved in a collision in Waterford City yesterday had to be put down. The inaugural Green Room Awards took place in Waterford last night. And in sport, Ireland have been dealt a Six Nations blow with the news that centre Gary Ringrose will miss the upcoming matches against Wales and England. A Dublin airport passenger who was suspected of having the coronavirus has tested negative. 362 people have now died from the strain. Stephanie Rowan reports.
Passengers on board a flight from Moscow to Dublin got a scare over the weekend when a paramedic in a hazmat suit boarded. They were all handed leaflets explaining someone suspected of having the coronavirus was on board and the passenger was taken off. It's understood he's now tested negative for the virus after samples were sent to UCD for analysis. The Department of Health says it doesn't comment on individual cases, but says no cases of coronavirus have been confirmed in Ireland. Meanwhile, Kildare teacher Ben Kavanagh, who has no symptoms, had been living at the epicentre of the virus in Wuhan, but flew out on Friday. He's now in quarantine in Liverpool for 2 weeks.
We thought it would be a barracks or something like old hospital or something like that, but I think it's actually nurses' accommodation, like student accommodation for nurses. That's what it is normally, but that's what we're in, yeah. It's grand.
More than 17,000 people worldwide have now been infected with the coronavirus. 362 have died. Just one of these deaths was outside China and took place in the Philippines. 25 cases of the strain have been detected in Europe.
Around a third of creches around the country are set to close on Wednesday. It's part of a protest to highlight low wages and a lack of funding in early childhood education. Elaine Walsh of Ondini Biog Montessori in Dunhill told Damien Tiernan on Daisha today that the funding model for the sector is broken.
The funding does not directly come to the providers. We are funded for 3 hours a day, and in that 3 hours, staff are expected to love, nurture and educate children, watch out for signs of developmental delays, issues, signs of abuse, support families, liaise with speech and language therapists, OTs, educational psychologists, and then we're supposed to fill out all the admin paperwork that goes with it. That cannot be done in 3 hours, Damien. It is absolutely crazy to expect people to be able to do that. We don't get paid for non-contact time.
She says she can't pay her staff what they deserve.
I have a brilliant team of staff with me. I am utterly distraught that I can't pay them more than what I pay them. They do such a good job and they just take care of the children and the families. But the money is not there. We are not being given the money to pay them adequately.
Waterford Animal Welfare say the horse involved in a collision in Waterford City yesterday had to be put down. It's believed the horse was attached to a sulky and struck 4 vehicles, 2 of which were parked on the Ballytruckle Road yesterday morning. Gardaí say no one was injured during the incident, but in a social media post, Waterford Animal Welfare say the horse involved had to be put down on advice from a vet. Sinn Féin councillor John Hearns says Waterford Council has already written to the Transport Minister Shane Ross to call for legislation to ban sulky racing on public roads.
We need the Minister to take up on this. If they're telling young lads they can't go to work without their mother driving beside them, how can you allow an 8-year-old or an elderly person or anybody drive a half-ton animal tearing down the road? It's just nonsense at this day and age. It needs to be regulated. There's plenty of race courses closed all year and they just need to get it off. In America it's a full-time sport and it's regulated. You have vets there to protect the animals, you have doctors there to protect the jockeys, and the audience is up and away safe. So that's the only way to go. It's nonsense to have it the way it is.
With less than a week to go to the general election, one of Fine Gael's election candidates in Waterford says issues from across the political spectrum are coming up at the doorsteps. Councillor Damien Geoghegan is running for the Dáil for the first time. He was first elected to Dungarvan Town Council in 1999 and secured his seat on Waterford County Council in 2004. Councillor Geoghegan says Waterford is an interesting constituency.
It's a microcosm really of the national picture. We have the large urban centres of Waterford City, Tramore and Dungarvan, and then we have that vast rural countryside as well. So issues right across the political spectrum really are coming up on the doorsteps, and I'm quite happy and satisfied so far with my own campaign, and I'm just looking forward now to polling day. The reality is, as a candidate, there's not enough hours in the day really. Long days, lots of things happening, and I'm glad to put my name forward and looking forward to it finishing up now really, yeah.
And he describes what he's hearing at the doors.
Local issues such as the hospital 24/7, that's an issue not just in the city, but it's an issue right throughout the county for people, obviously enough. And then you have issues coming up such as pensions and stuff like that. But there's also a recognition out there of the fact that the economy is performing really well. That's being reflected back to me as well. I mean, when you consider that unemployment figures when we came to power were, 16, 17% and higher, and it's now down 5-6%, so there's great progress being made there.
St Carthage's house in Lismore in County Waterford, which provides care for the elderly in an independent living environment, are planning major improvement works to the facility. St Carthage's is a limited company with charitable status with a voluntary board of directors. They're now fundraising to get a new roof. It costs about €700,000 each year to meet their day-to-day running costs. And manager Sheila Fraser explains where their main funding comes from.
The HSE give us a portion, but because we're independent living, we can only take 80% of the residents' pension. And the HSE then supplement us with a small budget every year, which we're hoping they will increase. We keep plodding along every year looking for more.
And as well as a new roof, she says there are plans to refurbish a number of flats there.
We took a chance and we said we'd redo one of the flats because there was a lot of waste of space down there, and we're delighted with it and we're hoping to do them all one by one. So we have 8 at the moment and they're full.
And finally, Des Manahan was the recipient of a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Theatre Royal in Waterford last night. The arts across Waterford City and County were celebrated at the inaugural Green Room Awards, which saw 36 winners across several categories at a variety gala night of music and entertainment from local talent. The categories were primarily adjudicated by Pat McAvoy of the Waterford News and Star, who'd been publishing his Green Room Awards in the newspaper for many years prior. The Red Iron picked up the award for Outstanding or Theatrical Event, as well as Best Professional Play. Best Amateur Drama went to The Real McCoy, and Cats won Best Musical. The People's Choice Award was won by the Barrack Street Concert Band. And Lifetime Achievement winner Des Manahan says it was completely unexpected.
I didn't know there was such an award, and I didn't know anything about, well, obviously it was the first Green Room Award. And I had been speaking to Wayne Brown yesterday, who was gathering some information for his Facebook page. I absolutely, total innocent idiot I was, chatting away to him. And the next thing is I see it all coming back on stage tonight. It's a wonderful surprise, and okay, my lifetime has been on stage here, and I've loved every second of it. In all forms of whatever, music and acting and whatever else. So I really, it was a thrill, and it was just lovely to stand up there, and then the warmth from the audience to me was just gorgeous.
And Pat McAvoy of the Waterford News and Star said it was great to see his awards go from page to stage.
This is the last thing that we wanted to do, but we have to do it. But I have to say, Damien, this is the last thing that
Apologies, that's the wrong audio there. Congratulations to Des Manahan and all the award winners.
WLR Sport.
And a very good afternoon, I'm Gavin Whelan. Starting with rugby, and Ireland have been dealt a Six Nations blow with the news that centre Gary Ringrose will miss the upcoming matches against Wales and England. The Leinster man suffered a suspected broken finger in Saturday's 19-12 win over Scotland in Dublin. The IRFU say he will stay connected with the squad and should be available to face Italy in Dublin on the 7th of March. Meanwhile, forwards Quailán Doris and Dave Kilcoyne are to go through the return to play protocols after sustaining knocks to the head in the weekend win. Gaelic Games, Stephen Bennett shot 2-8 as the Waterford Hurlers made it back-to-back wins in Division 1A of the Alliance Hurling League. They emerged 318 to 115 winners away to Westmeath in Cusack Park yesterday. Jack Fagan also raising a green flag for Liam Cahill's side, who will return to action on Saturday week with a trip to unbeaten Limerick. Former Waterford hurler Brian Flannery says it's been a pleasing start to the league campaign.
I'm sure Liam Cahill will be absolutely delighted, to get, 2 wins on the board, get it on early. I mean, it's great for confidence, and I suppose, look, it's fallen perfectly, after the great win against Cork, to have that game against Westmeath. To be honest with you, a game you were looking at, you were probably always going to win, and now it sets up Waterford perfectly for the last 3 games.
And you can hear more from Brian Flannery on this evening's On the Ball just after the 6pm news here on WLR. Waterford footballers went down to Wicklow in Auckram yesterday, 2-11 to 1-6. The Garden County coming out on top there, propelling them to their first win of the campaign. The Dacia now face a vital encounter with Wexford, the visitors to Farrfield, on Saturday night. Next to racing, jockey Jack Kennedy looks set to miss the Cheltenham Festival next month after suffering a leg break at Leopardstown yesterday. The Kerry native was a winner of the Irish Gold Cup on board Delta Work before picking up the injury during the very next race. In soccer, Blackburn Rovers club legend Tony Parks has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. His daughter Natalie said her father now struggles to recall previous successes. He is 70 and played 350 games for Rovers before joining the coaching staff. And finally, to American football. For the first time in half a century, the Kansas City Chiefs have won the Super Bowl after staging a stunning comeback last night. They were 10 points down to the San Francisco 49ers, even going into the final quarter when they scored 21 points without reply to claim victory by 31 points to 20. That's the latest on WLR. More at 2.